Good morning everyone. So our next lesson is Discovering Tut. The saga continues. So it is about, the story is about the king or the ruler of Pharaoh dynasty, that is Tutankhamun. So he was murdered or died early. He ruled for few years only, and he died in a mysterious circumstances. So to identify that, they have removed his body from the tomb. What he got, what happened to that dead body, what happened to that mummy, all that details are there in this lesson. Okay, so we have listened it in Egypt. When the people died, they were buried with all the things. They thought that there was a belief in them that the things that were needed for afterlife. So they used to bury silver, gold, whatever the regular things they needed with the dead body. So when this king's body was removed, so they also find the number of jewels over there which are needed, and food items, everything whatever a person needs, so that were there in his tomb. So they believed that the things that were needed after the life, with that things they used to bury the body. So let's start the lesson. He was just a teenager when he died, the last heir of a powerful family that had ruled Egypt and its empires for centuries. He was laid to rest laden with gold and eventually forgotten. Since the discovery of his tomb in 1922, the modern world has speculated about what happened to him, with murder being the most extreme possibility. So he died as a teenager only, and most people believe that he was murdered. His death was not a natural death, he was murdered, and the family of this king ruled for centuries in Egypt, and his body, the king's body, was laden with gold. And this king's tomb was recovered in the year 1922, and they thought that the king's death was because of the murder. Now, leaving his tomb for the first time in almost 80 years, Tut has undergone a CT scan that offers new clues about his life and death, and provides precise data for an accurate forensic reconstruction of the boyish pharaoh. So this king belonged to the Pharaoh dynasty. So after 80 years, the king's dead body was removed from his tomb. Okay, and they sent that body for the CT scan so that they know the reasons of his life and death. So they can know about what his life was, what happened after his death, why his death, all that. To answer all the questions, they took his body for a CT scan. So an angry wind stirred up ghostly dust devils as King Tut was taken from his resting place in the ancient Egypt cemetery known as the Valley of Kings. So this king's tomb was situated in the Valley of Kings, and it was taken out. So when the tomb was being taken out, the strong winds blew over there. Dark bellied clouds surrounded in the sky had scudded across the desert sky all day, and now they were wheeling the stars in cascade grey. It was 6 p.m. on 5th January 2005. The world's most famous mummy glided head first into a CT scanner brought here to probe the lingering medical mysteries of this little understood young ruler who died more than 3,300 years ago. So when the body was about to be taken from the tomb, strong wind started to blow. The sky was covered with dark clouds. Okay, and the mummy, the dead body, was taken out to clear the mysteries behind the death of this king, which was buried 3,300 years ago. All afternoon, the usual line of tourists. So, when the dead body was taken from the tomb, so a number of people visited, wanted to see that dead body. So they gazed at the murals on the walls of the burial chamber and peered at Tut's gilded face. So whatever the murals, the paintings were on the tomb, they were observing, the tourists were observing that, and they looked towards the Tut's face, gilded face. That means his face was covered with gold, ornaments, everything. The most striking feature of his mummy-shaped outer coffin lid. So most striking feature of that tomb was, the tomb was in a coffin was in a mummy shape. Interested in having a look at the coffin, which was in the shape of a mummy. Others stood silently, perhaps pondering Tut's untimely death in his late teens, or wondering with a shiver if the pharaoh's curse, death or misfortune falling upon those who disturbed him was really true. So there was a belief, if the coffin or the tomb was disturbed, they will be cursed. Therefore, they will be cursed with the pharaoh's curse, and the death or misfortune will fall upon them. So the people were worrying that this thing is true or not. The mummy is in very bad condition because of what Carter did in 1920, said Zahi Hawass, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. As he leaned over the body for a long first look, Howard Carter, that is, was the British archaeologist who in 1922 discovered Tut's tomb after years of futile searching. So, earlier we have seen 80 years, from 80 years Tut's body was lying in the tomb. Why 80 years? They have mentioned because 300 years back he died. But before 80 years, this person, archaeologist Howard Carter, has opened the tomb and removed the dead body from out there. So that's why they are saying that 80 years the body was lying in his tomb. Its contents, though hastily ransacked in antiquity, were surprisingly complete. They remain the richest royal collection of ever found and have become part of Pharaoh's legend. So stunning artifacts in gold, their eternal brilliance meant to guarantee resurrection, caused a sensation at the time of discovery and still get the most attention. But Tut was also buried with everyday things he would want in the afterlife: board games, bronze razor, linen garments, cases of food and wine. So his body was covered with total gold, and with that body other things are also buried that were needed for afterlife. We have seen it earlier that they buried the body with the things that needed afterlife. So there were number of board games were there, bronze razor was there, linen undergarments was there, cases of food and wine. So the body of Tut was buried with, it was covered with total gold as well as the other things that were buried. After months of carefully recording the pharaoh's funerary treasures, Carter began investigating his 3 nested coffins. Opening the first, he found a shroud adorned with garlands of willow and olive leaves, wild celery, lotus petal and cornflowers. The faded evidence of a burial in March or April. So the coffin was in 3 layers. So Howard Carter, before 80 years, he opened the body and he was opening the coffin. Okay. So he was seen, first layer, what he has seen olive leaves, wild celery, lotus petals, all the things he has seen. So when he finally reached the mummy, though he ran into trouble, the ritual resins had hardened, cementing Tut to the bottom of his solid gold coffin. Okay, so second level, the mummy coffin. Okay, the coffin which was shaped like a mummy. He reached there, but it was very solid. It was very hard to remove it. and it was very difficult to reach to the gold coffin that was in the third layer. No amount of legitimate force could move them. Carter wrote later what was to be done. So he was thinking how to remove that coffin and reach to the gold coffin. The sun can beat down like a hammer this far south in Egypt, and Carter tried to use it to loosen the raisins. So he tried the heat from the sun to lose the raisin over there. He set the mummy outside in blazing sunshine that heated it to 149 degrees Fahrenheit. Nothing budged. Okay, so for some hours he kept the coffin in the sun, but there was no effect. Okay, that was not, the coffin was not loosened. So he reported with scientific detachment that the consolidated material had to be chiseled away from beneath the limbs and trunk before it was possible to raise the king's remains. So he thought of using hammer and chisel to break the coffin and reach to the king's remains. In his defense, Carter really had little choice. If he hadn't cut the mummy free, thieves most certainly would have circumvented the guards and ripped it apart to remove the gold. So we have seen that his mummy was covered totally with gold. Okay, so if Carter was not dead, he did not remove that, then it might be removed by the thieves. In Tut's time, the royals were fabulously wealthy, and they thought or hoped they could take their riches with them. So in Tut's dynasty, Pharaoh dynasty, the kings usually thought that, what they thought? That they were very rich, fabulously wealthy, and they thought of taking all the riches with them. For his journey to the great beyond, King Tut was lavished with glittering goods, precious collars, inlaid necklaces, bracelets, rings, amulets, ceremonial aprons, sandals, sheaths for his fingers, toes, and the now iconic inner coffin and mask, all of pure gold. So these were the things that the coffin consisted of, and all the things were made of pure gold. That was, they were saying that they wanted to take their riches with them. So that's why they made all the things that were needed afterlife, or the things they with the pure gold. To separate Tut from his adornments, Carter's men removed the mummy's head and served nearly every major joint. Once they had finished, they reassembled the remains on a layer of sand in a wooden box with padding that concealed the damage the bed where Tut was now rest. So to remove all the gold ornaments from the body, they have cut the head and all the major joints. They have cut all the major joints to remove all the gold ornaments. So, and they have fixed it again and kept in a wooden box. And they have buried in the same place where the Tut now rests. Archaeology has changed substantially in the intervening decades, focusing less on treasure, more on the fascinating details of life and intriguing mysteries of death. So now, earlier they have removed the coffin, they have removed the body for the ornaments, that the gold they had. But now the archaeology has improved a lot. Now they are not intervening, or they are not focusing on the treasure. They are focusing on the mysteries of their life and the death. Okay, no more they are focusing on the treasure they were buried with. They were more focusing on what? The mysteries of their life and death. They wanted to find the mysteries behind their death. Okay, so in 1968, more than 40 years after Carter's discovery, an anatomy professor x-rayed the mummy and revealed a startling fact. Beneath the resin that cakes his chest, his breastbone and front ribs are missing. So once Carter has reburied the body of the king 40 years after, okay, so an anatomy professor has taken the body and x-rayed it. What he found, that his breastbone and front ribs were missing. Today, diagnostic imaging can be done with computed tomography or CT, by which hundreds of X-rays in crisscross section are put together like slices of bread to create a three-dimensional virtual body. So now a CT scan, because of CT scan, at a time you can take hundreds of X-rays of each and every body part, and it could answer the biggest questions that were ever answered. What about the questions? How did he die? How old was he at the time of his death? So these questions were not answered earlier by the archaeologists that they have taken out the body, when they have taken out the body. But because of this CT scan, now they can find out that how did the king die and what was his age at the time of his death. King Tut's demise was a big event. Even by royal standards, he was the last of his family's line, and his funeral was the death of rattle of a dynasty. But the particulars of his passing away and its aftermath are unclear. So it was the king's demise was the biggest event that happened in that era, in their dynasty. So he was the last king in that dynasty. Amenhotep III, Tut's father or grandfather, was a powerful pharaoh who ruled for almost 4 decades at the height of 18th dynasty's golden age. And after Akhenaten's death, a mysterious ruler named Semenkhare appeared briefly and excited with hardly a trace, and then a very young Tutankhaten took the throne. King Tut, as he is widely known today. So Tutankhamun, earlier name was Tutankhaten, then the name changed, and now the people know him by Tut, widely known today. The boy king soon changed his name to Tutankhamun, living image of Amun, and oversaw a restoration of the old days. He reigned for about 9 years and then died unexpectedly. So the King Tut only ruled for 9 years and he died unexpectedly. So he died because he was having a mysterious death. Regardless of his fame and the speculations about his fate, Tut is one mummy among many in Egypt. How many, no one knows. The Egyptian Mummy Project, which began an inventory in late 2003, has recorded almost 600 so far. So they have found out 600 mummies so far and is still counting. The next phase, scanning the mummies with a portable CT machine donated by the National Geographic Society and Siemens. Its manufacturer, King Tut, is one of the first mummies to be scanned in death, as in life, moving regally ahead of his countrymen. So King Tut's body was the first thing that they took it for CT scan to know the mysteries about his life and his death. The night of the scan, workmen carried Tut from the tomb in his box. Like pallbearers, they climbed a ramp and a flight of stairs into the swirling sand outside, then rose on a hydraulic lift or into a trailer, then that held the scanner. 20 minutes later, 2 men emerged, sprinted for an office nearby, and returned with a pair of plastic fans. The $1 million scanner had quit because of sand in a cooler fan. Curse of the pharaoh, joked a guard nervously. So when the workmen took the body of Tut for CT scan, so what happened? They placed it on the table, but they were returning with a pair of white plastic fans. Because what is the reason they could not conduct the CT scan? Because the $1 million scanner has quit because there was sand in the cooler. So the guard over there said that it was the curse of the pharaoh. Okay, this pharaoh matlab here the ruler of the Egypt. So they are called as pharaoh. So they could not do the CT scan because of the curse of the pharaoh. So that was the belief they had. Eventually, the substitute fans worked well enough to finish the procedure. After checking that no data had been lost, the technician turned Tut over to the workman, who carried him back to his tomb. Less than 3 hours after he was removed from his coffin, the pharaoh again rested in peace where the funerary priest had laid him so long ago. Okay, once the CT scan of the king completed, then again the workman took his body back to his tomb and buried over the same place that it was earlier. Back in the trailer, a technician pulled up astonishing images of Tut on a computer screen. A grey head took shape from a scattering of pixels. The technician spun and tilted it in every direction. So they were, after taking the CT scan, they were observing the changes in the body. What is there? Other images revealed a hand, several views of rib cage and transection of the skull. So each and every part of the body was thoroughly checked. Okay, and for now the pressure was off. Sitting back in his chair, Zahi Hawa smiled, visibly revealed that nothing had gone seriously wrong. I didn't sleep last night, not for a second, he said. I was so worried, but now I think I will go and sleep. So after checking each and every body part of the king, from the reports, he was relaxed. He was relieved that nothing happened to that body. Nothing has gone wrong to the body. So that night he slept very peacefully. Okay, so this is the end of the lesson. Discovering Tut, the saga continues. Our next poem is The Laburnum Top. So laburnum is a short tree with hanging branches, yellow flowers and poisonous seeds. So here in this poem written by Ted Hughes, so Ted Hughes was a 20th century's greatest writer. He was an English poet, translator and children's writer. So here the tree consisted of yellow leaves. Yellow leaves when it is autumn season. In autumn season the leaves become yellow and the tree shed their leaves. So yellow is related in this poem and yellow resembles leaves and the sunlight also, and it symbolizes silence, death of beauty. Okay, because the tree shed their leaves. In autumn season the leaves of the trees become yellow and the tree shed their leaves in that season. So it indicates silence, death. And here let's start with the poem. The laburnum top is silent, quite still. In the afternoon yellow September sunlight, a few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. So as I said, the season mentioned here is in autumn season. So in that season the laburnum top, the tree is silent and it is not at all moving, quite still, and it is the time of the afternoon, the yellow September sunlight. So in the afternoon in September indicates it's an autumn season. In that season because of the sunlight, yellow here mentioned the color of the sunlight, and here the tree, leaves of the tree of the laburnum tree are also yellow. So a few leaves are yellowing and all the seeds are fallen from the tree. So that is what about the first stanza. So here there was no movement of the tree. The laburnum top is silent and it is having no movement. Only the leaves of the tree are yellow and all the seeds are fallen down, and it's in the time is afternoon. Okay, so that is what about the first stanza. Till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup, a suddenness, a startlement at a branch end. So till that time the laburnum tree was very quiet, it was silent. Okay, but the movement starts. When the movement starts, when goldfinch is nothing but a small singing bird with yellow feathers on its wings. So here the bird is also, so yellow is related to the leaves of the tree, and the color of the bird, the color of the feathers of the bird are also yellow. So yellow plays an important role in this yellow color in this poem. Till the goldfinch comes with a twitching syrup. So the silent that is moved, that the silence has changed when till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup. That means with a sudden movement, the silence spread over there is shaken. So there was suddenness, the movement, there was some movement, there was startlement, there was sudden shock over there, where at the branch end of the branch of the laburnum tree. Then sleek as a lizard and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness and a machine starts up, of chittering and a tremor of wings and trillings. So that bird, the goldfinch bird, is moving like a lizard. Sleek like a lizard means moving like a lizard, and it is alerting and it is abrupting, disturbing the silence of the laburnum top, and it is moving in a rapid way, and she is entering, the bird is entering into the thickness. Thickness matlab here where inside the tree, where it is the number of branches are there. So and the sound that was coming by the chirping of the bird, it was compared to a machine. The sound was compared to a machine. Like a machine starts up, the sound of the goldfinch was like that. So the machine starts up of chitterings. Chittering matlab the chattering sound that the bird makes. There was shivering of the wings, moving of the wings was there, and trillings. Trilling means here chirping sound. So these all these sounds were like a machine. The whole tree trembles and thrills. So with these movements, with these sounds, the whole tree, earlier it was very silent over there. Okay, the tree was standing still. But now because of the movement, the sound made by the bird, what it is doing, the tree is trembling, the tree is moving, and it is thrilling. That means thrills matlab it is full of excitement because of the movement, because of the sounds that was made by the bird. Now the laburnum top is moving, having trembling, and it is full of excitement now. It is the engine of her family. So why the bird went into the thickness? Because there the bird has its nests. The bird has its chicks over there. So because of that, it went into the thickness of the tree to feed the birds over there. So here it is the engine of her family, means here the bird, the goldfinch, went into the tree to feed its chicks. And she stokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her bad face, identity mask. Okay, so she fed her chicks over there. Then after feeding them, it came out of the till the branch end again, showing her bad face. Bad here means striped face. Whether you have observed it, goldfinch, the feathers are yellow, but on the face it has a black color. So here the stripes of black. So it is barely showing its identity. It is face identity mask. It is leading. Then with airy, delicate whistle chirrup whisperings, she launches away towards the infinite. Okay, so with that again, it comes to the end of the branch. With its strange, airy means here strange. With it again the strange sounds that the bird was making. With that sounds and with little whispering sound, whispering means low sound, it again goes into, flies away into the infinite. Here infinite means the vast sky above. So it goes into the sky and the laburnum subsides to empty. So again the laburnum achieves goes into the same stage that it was before the coming of the bird. Again it becomes silent, it stands still over there without any movement. So it again the laburnum subsides to empty. So that is what about the laburnum top poem. written by Tech Hughes. Okay, we'll continue with the next lesson later.